Folks, hello. It is Hobby Nightmares, and it is Feels Friday, where we chill out with some Hobby Nightmares that maybe go a bit left field, maybe they're more focused on feels, maybe they're more focused on people's opinions, but I have a few today that are absolutely hilarious or quite serious, depending on which way you want to look at it. But anyway, hope you're all doing well. We have a HEMA one today, which is pretty cool, because I've just gotten into that. I've just started doing, I was doing longbowmanship and bowmanship last year, and this year I am doing close quarters combat, so longsword, things like that, all this year, learning how to basically be a knight, which is pretty awesome, and tiring, and bruising, but I'll get into that Hobby Nightmare in a minute. Hopefully you're all doing well. If you want to send in any sort of Hobby Nightmare, make sure you do it to hobbynightmares@gmail.com, that is hobbynightmares@gmail.com, it is in the description down below. Before long, I've got to go pick up my daughter from school in about half an hour, so let's get into it, shall we? I think we're going to be using the name Eric. How's it going, Eric? How's it going, man? He says, "Hello, North. I am Eric, a Viking reenactor in California, USA. Well, you are a Dark Age reenactor then, my friend. Viking reenactment is a thing as well, but I think we term it Dark Age reenactment over here in the old kingdom. I have been stage fighting fellow reenactors and educating the public for 12 years. Cool, man. Stage fighting is when you use wood and steel weapons, but you're not trying to win by hitting the other guy in the face. It's below HEMA in intensity, but harder than LARP. California doesn't have any permanent Viking museums, so our group attends events like Scottish fairs, Highland Games, and private non-profit events held by groups like the Sons of Norway. We don't do Renaissance fairs as they tend to be a bit less historical and more fantastical, at least where I live. I have a Hobby Nightmare in mind, but I need some practice writing before it is good enough to share. Please do. It sounds like you live an interesting life, man. Please send that in. For now, I hope you enjoy this short story about how I earned the right to use a metal sword. I first started going to fair when I was 16 and I was hooked immediately. I am a history nerd and a bit of an extrovert, and I basically treated my second Celtic fair like it was a job fair. I chose the Viking group over Picts, Gauls, Romans, and 2 guilds dedicated to the court of Mary Queen of Scots. What won my loyalty was a young man my age fighting fairgoers with foam swords and cool leather armour. I now see how inauthentic that combo is, trust me, but at the time, I was enthralled. Fast forward, before we go anywhere else, right, there was a thing I came across when studying for my undergraduate degree, and masters too, right? There is a general look-down attitude from historians to things that everybody likes, okay? So, if something in your historical field is popular, the chances are most academics around you will look down their noses at it and think it's like lowbrow. Okay, so when I was at university, a lot of people in my university just didn't like ancient warfare, didn't like it at all. Thought it was really lowbrow, thought it wasn't worth studying, and just cut the long story short, they were all wrong, and anybody who has that opinion is a moron. I never usually say things like that, because I like to hear people's opinions and hear them out and try and see both sides, but no. If you don't like ancient warfare and you are an ancient historian, you are a moron. You are missing out on a good 60 to 70% of the context of the ancient world, because, by and large, most historical records are written by the winners. They're written by people talking about victories they've had. Caesar's Gallic Wars, for instance. You know, all of these things that we know of. Even Herodotus mentions vast battles and kingdoms going up against each other. That is how, in my own dissertation I said this, that is how ancient civilizations interact, right? They trade, sure, but on the battlefield is where you can see the crystallization of what a civilization actually is and what it represents. If you don't agree with that, you're an idiot and you shouldn't be in this discipline, right? There are many other things to do with in the ancient world that don't revolve around warfare. I find them all equally interesting, right? But to just discount warfare because it's in the movies is an idiotic thing to do. Idiotic. But by and large, I have had standing arguments with lecturers about this, when they've just said, no, you don't need to study ancient warfare if you study ancient history. Yes, you do. Why? Because you're the kind of person, if you say I don't need to study that, you're the kind of person who chases away people from our discipline, who chases away people from history, and makes it boring for them. No. Your first year studying history should be about fun. That's what it should be about. You should learn about Caesar. You should learn about Alexander the Great. You should learn about all these dudes and the weapons they used, the armor they used, the tactics they used, the armies they led, and why. It gives you such an amazing leg in to say, okay, I know about the surface level stuff now, which is really interesting, but let me dig deeper. What was the taxation like at that time? What was the trade situation like? What was the food situation like? What was the writing situation, the poets, things like that? We go into... That's when you dive in deeper, right? But every single discipline needs a gateway drug. And what you just mentioned there, Eric, is, you know, oh, I know it's in an authentic combo. Dude, it doesn't matter. Using leather armor with a foam weapon doesn't matter, dude. It's not inauthentic if it gets people involved and ingratiated in learning more about history. That's honestly, I'll die on that hill, right? History should be accessible. At least the interesting stuff right up front, the Hollywood stuff should be accessible. And you should teach it in universities and schools. Get people engrossed. Get people ingrained in the history so they want to learn more. That's what happened to you here, Eric. You saw this guy with his leather armor and his foam swords. Not very accurate. Bit nonsense from a historical point of view. It doesn't matter. It got you involved. It got you learning more. And it got you into the hobby. That's the point. There's a very good reason why, when we try and get people into Warhammer 40,000 in a Games Workshop store, we don't take them through a very crunchy 2,000 point game. Yeah? We don't, do we? We take you to the introduction table, we have 2 squads each, if that, right? And we fight against each other, and we leave out a lot of the rules, because we just want you to experience what the game's like at a surface level to play with one of your friends. There's a very good reason why they do that, because it works. It works. They tried doing 2,000 point games with new people back in the day, and if you're one of these people who says, oh, well, I'd love a 2,000 point game to just start off, yeah, okay, mate, you're like 1 in 50. They're not selling to you. Right, they're selling to normies. You make far more money, you catch far more flies with honey than bile. Okay? That's what we're here for at the end of the day. Anyway, fast forward through a few meetings, fight practices, and test events, and I had worked my way to become a trainee. My graduation into the ranks of the Shield Brothers was a sword broken in the heat of battle. We were at a Sons of Norway event in the coastal mountains, which provided us a rare opportunity to do our Viking thing in the midst to the soundtrack of Real Ravens. When my turn to fight came up, I borrowed a wooden sword I'd been spray painted with silver paint. It belonged to a group in general, rather than a specific individual, and as my memory stands, we only had 2 of them. From a distance, the audience could not clearly see that the real sword was swapped for a safer option. I was dueling another member named Skarin. Our fight was going well, our speed and power bolstered by our confidence in our light, dull weapons. That was until I struck out against Skarin's shield with my blade and it broke into 2 splintered halves. I was afraid of accidentally stabbing him with the newly sharpened half, so I threw the fight and feigned death. As Skarin did his victory lap for the crowd, our Jarl came over and spoke to me softly. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I just broke the sword. Do you want to keep going? Yeah, but my sword is broken. Okay, you're going to use mine. And with that, he grabbed me and pulled me to my feet. He started shouting, "You're not dead yet!" and hands me his sword and sends me off to fight my second doom. "Go forth with a true warrior's weapon," he shouts to the crowd. His sword was heavier than anything I had used before, but I gave it my best. Wow, dude. That's a nice way of saying, for 2 seconds I thought I might die in a horrific reenactment accident, but Vikings aren't cowards, so I went for it. Skarin and I came to blows for a second time. This time our swords rang and pinged as they clashed. The fight was short, as I died again pretty quickly. After Skarin's second bout of well-earned peacocking, the next 2 fighters took to the field. To the crowd of onlookers, the whole thing probably looked intentional. The Jarl came up after me, all smiles, and told me, "You better get a real weapon because you're banned from breaking anything else." There was much revelry that night, as I was officially graduated from trainee to a real fighter. I see now that the guild rewarded a fighter who chose safety over winning the fight. But at the time, I was rewarded for being a big brave boy with a big brave sword. I have a few other stories, some more self-aggrandizing than others. I got hit in the face with a steel sword and earned my first nickname. Our Viking guild fought an Anglo-Saxon guild. Hypothermic mud wrestling, getting drunk to get over a girl and making a fool of myself, a schism that ended with the guild splitting in half and causing such interpersonal drama that some members still don't talk to each other. You know, typical stuff. I want to see how this one does before I send them in. Hope you enjoyed it. Cheers. That's brilliant, man. Dude, get writing. Get writing. I am interested. We've now got the standard, introduction to who you are and what you're doing, right? That's brilliant. We like that. So now we've got this baseline of who Eric is. We'll call you Eric the Slayer, right? Eric the Slayer's story, right? We've got your introduction now. The foundation of what you're going to build on next. So send in some stuff. I'd love to read it out. Anyway, Q says... And Q, okay, that's cool. Thank you very much for saying. You did it in the first line of telling me what to call you, but yeah, I nearly missed it, so be careful. Anyway, they say, "Hey North, been watching your videos since I started 40k mini painting in September last year, and I love them. For the video, you can call me Q, like the Star Trek character, since I'd rather remain anonymous. No problem. Make sure you have your tea for this one. Don't worry, this story does have a happy ending. Also, what kind of tea are you drinking? I myself am drinking cinnamon heart tea whilst typing this." Ugh. I bet you're the type of girl who wears a jumper with a laptop, right? Do you hold the mug in both hands? Yeah. I see you there in the coffee shop. I'm drinking Yorkshire tea, because that is all human beings should drink. It is a strong brew. This one brewed for about a minute and a half. The key thing for tea, when you've got a tea bag, right, is that you put the spoon in and you lever the tea bag out. You don't squash it against the side of your mug. No, sir. Don't do that. Don't do that. What that does is it releases the bitterness in the tea leaves into your drink. It shouldn't be bitter, but it should be strong. That's what it should be. It should be like a middling brownish colour, right? That's what it should be. So you dip your spoon in, lever out your tea bag, and then go to the bin and put it in, right? That's what you do. You don't squeeze it against the side, right? A little bit of milk, jobs are good. You put some. I always say, for strong tea, if you're going to use sugar, only put one sugar in. That's what I would do. One sugar, it's fine. Any more than that, and it starts to become like, it becomes less tea and more of a just sugary, tea-like drink with some milk in it, right? No. One sugar will do you fine. Where was I? Oh yeah, Hobby Nightmares. I had an entire hobby store turn against me after I had the bravery to leave my abusive ex-boyfriend in my last year of high school. And since I wasn't in the shop as often as he was, he spent a lot of money in there. It was very easy for him to do. Okay, well, that sucks. Well, let's just dive in further, see what's going on. And you guys sending in these, I don't know where you are in the world, but these are getting sent in at like 3 a.m., 2 a.m. I must have had a drunken person or two sending in a Hobby Nightmare every now and again. My story starts about 13 years ago or so when we were dating. We were friends for 4 years before we started dating, and we both had crushes on each other, but nobody wanted to break the ice until we did. At the time, I had really bad ex-relationships, and I was his first real relationship, so I was very forgiving with him when he messed up. Looking back at it now, I should not have, but I cared about him a lot. We both played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh!, and he even got me into Magic the Gathering. We had a blast sharing and trading cards together, spending hours in each other's company, watching anime, and overall having a great time together at first. When he started to ask for things in the M-rated subject matter and such, I was very hesitant due to trauma from my previous ex, and wanting to work on the romantic connection more than the physical in that sense. Okay, guys, don't ask. Don't ask. It's the most unsexy thing on planet Earth. Don't ask, right? Initiate. I'm not saying dive straight in there. I mean, you know, how far do I go with this? I mean, like, you know, kisses on the neck, you know, gentle groping, that kind of thing. Very gentle, very sensual. Do that, right? Get him in the mood, and then try to slowly escalate. And if they say no, then back away, you know. But you've done your bit. You put it in her head, like, oh, this is on now. Okay, we can do this. Okay, you work on her confidence and you build up that way. Especially if she's shy, right? You work on her confidence, you know. With shy girls, honestly, guys, you need to show interest. Because it's so easy to, like, just turn them off completely. And they go, oh, he's not interested. They're looking for an excuse to not do it because they don't have the confidence to. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to literally let them know. Like, you know, a group on the way past. Like, you know, let them catch you looking at them. If they're just in the kitchen. You know, they're preparing something. Just look at their ass. Just like, bloody hell. And then let them catch you and go, oh, sorry. You just, I like those pants on you. They're really nice. And then go back to what you're doing, right? A shy girl will appreciate that a lot more than you asking for sex. Like, that's the most it's the most unmanly, like, no. There are times when you need to later on in the relationship when it's like, you know, you're communicating on a much stronger level. But in the first couple of years, no. Don't ask. Right? Initiate. Okay? Don't dive in with both feet. Gently initiate. Try and get her in the mood. But don't, dude. It's like the A1 thing. Don't do that. Don't ask for sex. Like, it's the most. Ugh. I'm getting the ick just thinking about it, and you're not even trying it with me. Okay. Anyway. I thought that since we were friends first, and that he said he loved and cared about me, he would accept me and my boundaries. Spoilers, he didn't. So to set the scene, his mother, a lovely woman by the way, can't say anything bad about her, would give him money to take me out on dates since she was so happy he was in a relationship with a, quote, such a pretty girl. I'm not saying I felt entitled to it, but he would not be spending it on little dates for us together, but he would only be spending it on his card and anime addiction, as well as lying to his mum to get more money. Basically using me as an excuse to turn his mum into a money supply to fuel his addiction. I called him out on it a few times, but he just called me a gold digger and asked, how dare I even say something like that when I was just trying to defend his mum. Wow. Just remember, lads, if you ask for it, this is the kind of person you're in the bag with. This is the kind of guy who asks, right? Please touch it. Please touch it. It's not been touched in so long. He's got a dick like a snail's eye. Get out of there. Anyway. Ugh. While all this was happening, he was pushing my physical boundaries since his guy friends kept telling him he should at least be at third base or even a home run by now in the relationship. And they also convinced him I was just hanging around for money since I was a pretty girl and that's all we want from nerdy guys. Dude, this guy's surrounded by fucking idiots. Like, you don't... I don't know, man. One thing you've not mentioned here, Q, is how long you're in this relationship for. If you were in this relationship for, like, 2 years, I get their points. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're, like, keeping this poor guy on blue ball alert for, like, 2 years, then I'm like, yeah, you know, just put it in your mouth. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? But if it's like a couple of months, then yeah, you know, like, especially if it's your first one, you know, like your first actual one, it's his first actual one, nice and slowly does it, you know, no need to jump in. And again, guys, do you know the kind of guys who say, right, she needs to put out now? Do you know the kind of guys who say that? Guys who can't pull the pants off girls. I'm telling you. That's the kind of guy who says that. The kind of guy who says, oh, she needs to be doing within a couple of months, you know, oh, don't withhold that from me. Dude, if you were any good at what you do, she wouldn't be withholding anything. For the right guy, women are hoes. I'm telling you. Even the goodest girl you know, the nicest girl you know, To the right guy, she's a hoe. Those panties are off. And on the chandelier, right? I'm telling you. If you're the right guy for her, and she's besotted with you, and you drive her crazy, she's on top of you. You can't get, you're peeling her off. You're like, okay, enough now, right? So the only guys who say shit like that are the guys who have to resort to asking for it. And you shouldn't. You know? The only thing you need to do to not ask for it is not ask for it. Just try. Try. And be understanding about what her needs are. Just like, okay, well, what are your needs? What do you need from me? You know? Even better, don't even say that. Just intuitively go, okay, she's shy. I'll give her compliments. Don't come out and just say you're beautiful all the time. Yeah, do it sometimes, but like, do little sneaky things. Slap her ass on the way past. Have a little grope. Look at her. Just drink her in. Every time she comes into a room, just drink her in. Go, oh my god, she's gorgeous. You know what I mean? Do shit like that. Build up her confidence, and eventually, she will open up. It'll be, you know, she'll be. Yeah, there is so much in like. It's so weird, like how girls respond to. If a girl feels sexy in herself, like actually feels attractive, she is way more likely to be receptive to your advances. Like you know, if you're with her, you know, if you're in a relationship with her, and she's like feeling pressured, or not pressured, but like not into it. No, I've dated girls in the past who said they were asexual. They weren't asexual. They weren't. They thought they were because they were dating guys like this, who were literally just like, why don't you put it, touch it, please? And they're like, no, I've been in a relationship with you for a week. You know, some girls are good girls. Some girls are just good girls. Some girls are just like, no, I'm not doing that. You know, I'm not making you jump through any hoops. Now, if the girl's making you, like, do things for her, and there's nothing coming in like, the physical, yeah, leave. You have the option. Remember, you have the option. Just leave. Yeah? But there are a lot of girls out there who are just good girls, and they are low-intensity relationships where they're like, you don't need to spend any money on me. Yeah, we can go out and watch a movie. We can go out to dinner. We can go 50-50 on that. We can sit off and watch a movie. We can play war games. We play video games. Low intensity, you know? But on the flip side of that, they'll say, yeah, but I'm also like not ready to have sex, and I probably won't be for a good couple of months, and we need to get to know each other, and that's fine. That's normal. Alright? It's normal. That's a good girl. That is a good girl. She's just saving herself, and she's making sure you're the one that she wants to. She's just not opening her legs for every Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? It's fine. Don't panic so much. Don't panic so much. It's not, you know, because this is alarm bells. This guy's behavior is fucking alarm bells, dude. This is crazy. This is and then he turned the gun on himself behavior. Calling you a gold digger? For like, nah, come on, dude. And it's his friends who are doing this as well, by the way. And as I said before, the only guys who say shit like this are the guys who can't get in there in the first place. Do you know what I mean? That's all it is. That's all it is. While all this was happening, he was pushing my physical boundaries since this guy... Yeah, we covered that bit. As I don't have a personality or hobbies of my own, of course... I think that was sarcasm. At the time, I was in financial disarray due to my parents, and did dog walking for a neighbour to pay for things and pay him back for things, but overall, it wasn't enough for him. It usually got me about $15 a week. Finding a part-time job was not really an option since I was working towards a scholarship to get my pilot's license, wow! As well as trying to graduate high school. I never bought anything from our hobby store except with Christmas or birthday money, since the rest was me paying him back for a cosplay he bought me the summer before. Yet he would complain about me spending my gift money instead of giving it to him. He would also complain about not having a lot of time together, since during the school year I would only have the weekend for time free. I would spend every Saturday with him and give myself Sunday to sleep in, rest and get ready for the week ahead. Dude, that sounds like an ideal relationship, at least early on. Like, you spend your Saturday with your missus. You make that day special. You make her feel like $1 million. Like, if you do that, a girl like this... Sorry for talking about you like you're not in the room, Q, but a girl like this... Like, it's going to sound really bad, but you get that girl into bed. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you actually say, listen, I'll pay for that, no problem, right? And you do your bit as a dude, and you make her feel good, and you support her in the decision to what she's doing, you affirm what she's doing, and like, yeah, go on, you're going to be a pilot, it's going to be awesome, right? Throw little cheeky things in there, like, you'll have me in the cockpit one day, and, yeah, one thing leads to another, things like that. Plant the seed in their head. Oh, yeah, we could do that, It's not going to happen, but it's just a fun thing to talk about. There are ways of doing this. He's just absolutely a toxic piece of shit, but anyway. While observing this behaviour for a while, as well as him pushing all my boundaries, I tried to have many deep talks about his actions and how they were affecting me, and how the relationship won't last unless he changes his actions. Also, due to the extreme stress he put on me through the whole relationship, I could not focus on my pilot scholarship and didn't make the cut for the entrance exam due to his constant badgering online. I was a complete wreck, and he was less than comforting. At this point, he was starting to demand my V card before he went off to college because he didn't want to be a virgin when he got there. Every time I refused, he would get more upset, so I knew I had to break it off. When I did, he spread the rumour around our high school that I had the clap, which I didn't, to try and ruin me. People at school latched onto the rumour like a fly on shit. Not only that, but the atmosphere at our hobby shop changed around me so much. I was getting dirty looks, no one wanted to play with me, even the store owner was less than happy to talk to me. When my back was turned, people would even talk in hushed whispers. Whispers? Sorry. North was reading about your trauma, and then... Whispers? I'm a fucking moron, dude. I would occasionally hear the term gold digger when I was around, so I gave up going out to any hobby shop or local game store in the city just in case he was there. Until about 7 years later, I needed some D&D minis for a new campaign, and the only hobby shop nearby was the only location. It was a new store owner, and I didn't recognise anyone there from my last visit, but it was going to be a quick in and out, or at least I thought. He, my ex, popped in a few minutes later as I was checking out. When he noticed me, he made such a snobby look on his face and even looked down on me, off of his nose, but his attitude was not enough to compensate that 7 years of time did not do him any favours. As I was finishing my transaction, he tried to interrupt the conversation I was having with the new owner, but thankfully the owner told him to wait 1 second. After I was done, I left and haven't been back since. I know for a facet he was saying all the same things about me to the new owner as he did to the last one. Yeah, for a fact, I think you meant to see there, not facet. Yeah. Do you know when you said the 7 years haven't done any favours to him, right? The ugly always comes out in the end. I know that's something that is a kind of a cliche, but it's true. It always comes out in the end. One other thing I'd like to say, though, and be very careful, because this is me trying to work on you as well, alright? So, when you said he was at blame for you not getting your pilot's license, and be very careful about blaming past relationships for things that have gone wrong. Always try and take your share of responsibility. Like, always. I don't know you, so I don't know this situation in depth. So you may be being very fair here. But I'm just saying, for people listening as well, I would say this is nearly all his doing, right? He is the piece of shit in this story. Yes, absolutely. But on the flip side of that, I would... The only person you're harming by blaming failures in your life on him is yourself. Because he's not going to give a shit, right? And you're not learning by your mistakes. You made mistakes. If you didn't qualify for that thing, you weren't studying enough. You didn't throw yourself in there enough. If you'd have gotten rid... Even if the only thing you take away from that is, if I'm dating somebody and they start having this effect on my life that it's getting in the way of my professional pursuits, I need to cut it off straight away. Right? Even if that's all you take from it, you should take from it and take that responsibility and say, listen, I didn't break up with him when I should have, so me not getting into my pilot's license thing is my fault. Take ownership, take power, take responsibility. It's got nothing to do with him. You don't affect my life, son, right? The only thing I did wrong is I didn't kick you to the curb early enough. It's far more empowering than saying, I didn't get this because of them. Alright? That's the kind of thing... Say like... If I was dating somebody and they would start bad-mouthing their ex and say, I didn't do this because, or they were doing this, they were doing that, it was an immediate massive red flag. I'd be like, dude, nah. If the first, because let's be honest, even if that guy was beating on you and then you're dating me, if you're talking about him on a date with me, it's clearly really screwing you up inside, right? Really. And I'm not the guy to fix that. You need to go to therapy, right? You don't need to be dating right now. You need to go to therapy, right? Not saying you do, Q. I'm just saying, somebody who talks about their ex a lot. Either if it was something serious that happened, like he's beating on you or something, go to therapy, get yourself sorted out. Oh my god, that was horrible, right? But if it's like just he was a toxic asshole, like this guy here, like, if you go on a date and you're talking about that shit, I'd be like, yeah, okay, well, all right, well, what's been going right for you lately? Not everything that's happened in your life has been his fault, right? I'm not saying that's what you said, Q. Just I'm saying to other people who were watching, who may have said the same thing in the past. For all I know, he might have literally stopped you doing pirate school by saying you can't leave the house, or whatever, or I'm taking away your books. You need to be focusing all your attention on me. Sounds like the kind of thing he would do, right? But just be very careful on that, because I think you are the way you've written this. You sound like a very strong person and somebody who has a good head on their shoulders. So have the strength to say, listen, I didn't break up with him early enough. That's on me. That's on me. I didn't get into pilot school. That's on me. All right, that's my bad. Because I should have fucked you off ages ago. Now I've learnt my lesson. Next time a guy comes along and does that to me, fuck off. That's what you do. You take the positives out of the situation rather than focusing on the I didn't get this because of this. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, moving on. Now on to the good part of the story. 2 years ago, I finally got back into Magic the Gathering thanks to a few LARP friends who lent me a deck. Since I needed cards of my own at that point and moved cities, I decided to visit my local game store. I've not only gotten back into Magic, but since my local game store is full of Warhammer stuff, I got into the lore and have chosen an army. Still in the middle of painting all my stuff and can't wait to start playing for the first time. Also, in terms of a career, I fix aircraft interiors now. The farthest thing from flying, but I'm glad it's something to do with planes. My local game store has really come in clutch with helping me deal with my social anxiety by keeping it a safe space for everybody. It took me a long time to hype myself up to go in alone, but I managed very well. This is another one of those hobby nightmares where there's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of good-looking, well-to-do guys in the comments going, is this one single? Fixes airplanes into the hobby, pretty, right? Saying, have a look in the comments. There'll be a few in there, I'm telling you. The last one had a very guys versus girls vibe, but here nobody cares and I love it. I've since then made a group of friends and tried to get together every Monday for Magic Night, and some even got into 40k around the same time I did. Their Discord is filled with people not only planning games of Magic the Gathering and 40k, but giving paint tips and deck building tips. I also have a few people willing to teach me how to properly play 40k. I've even got my fiancé... there you go. Sorry, lads. I've even got my fiancé into Magic the Gathering, and I'm still trying to convince him to get into 40k just as an excuse for me to paint more minis. Our wedding is in October, so I have to hold off on hobby spending until then. Overall, I hope my story helps somebody out there and shows them that if they get bullied out of a store, there are plenty more out there that will welcome you in with open arms. I also want to say it does get better. Thanks for North for giving me a space to tell my story, from Q. Yeah, and just to prove my point, Q met somebody who was able to get that out of her, and there we go. You know what I mean? Literally, somebody who treated her right, was good to her, and look and now they're getting married. You know what I mean? I just proved my point. Thank you for proving my point, Q. Anyway, I love you guys, long time. I will speak to you over the weekend. I'll be back on Sunday, where we're going to be rebuilding the Ultramarines Legion. That's going to be awesome, and a longer live stream than last week, because I want it to be one, because I fancy it. Anyway, and I'll see you on Monday for some more Hobby Nightmares. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll speak to you soon. Stay safe. Bye now.